Hi stamping friends, I'm Karina with karinascreations.com and I'm going to show you how to make this really fun shadow box card. This is part of my wow card class, so I hope the girls love it, making it as much as I did. So you can see the inside, and it's kind of neat because the balloons from the Lift Me Up stamp set are sort of 3D inside as well. So it's a really fun card. Now I should mention that we are using this stamp set called Lift Me Up, and we're using the coordinating framelits, which are called the Up and Away Thinlit dies. And you can get these as a bundle. They're in the Occasions catalog, and I'm a Canadian demonstrator, so they are $59.25 if you get a bundle, plus you also save 10%, so that's really nice too. Okay, to make this fun card, these are the pieces that you are going to need. First of all, we need 2 pieces of Whisper White cardstock cut at 5.5 by 8.5 inches. And it's going to be scored at 1.25 inch on each side. You need 2 of those. And then you need a piece of shimmery white cardstock, and it is 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. Then you're going to need a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and this one is approximately 3.5 inches by 6 inches, and it's scored at 1/4 inch on each side. Then you're going to need another piece of Whisper White cardstock. This one I cut a bit smaller. It's 3 inches by 6 inches, again scored at 1/4 inch each side. Then you're going to need a piece of Dapper Denim cardstock. It's 4.5 inches by 6 inches, scored at 1/4 inch each side. And then these are sort of little filler pieces, but this is 5.5 inches by 1 inch, and it's Pool Party cardstock. And then this is for the greeting. It's 7/8 of an inch by 5.5 inches, and we're going to use this to make our banner for our greeting. Okay, let's get started. Now the first thing I'm going to start with is coloring my shimmery white cardstock. We need to do a watercolor wash. So I'm putting wax paper down so I don't get my station wet. And I need to squeeze the ink pad. When I do a class, I actually put re-inkers in the lid, and I want to get this really wet. So if you have an empty container, a button container, and I just put water in it and use that, first of all, get my shimmery white cardstock wet. And I'm just wetting the whole thing. If you do it dry, the color just doesn't flow very well, I find. Okay, now I want this to be darker at the top and then lighter. So I'm just mixing my color, and then you're just going to wash it all the way down. So start at the top and then keep bringing it down. This is why you need it to be wet, so that the water flows nicely across the shimmery white cardstock. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Then the next color, we'll put a little bit more. Changed my mind, made it a little darker. Okay, then the next color I want to use for the bottom of my sky is going to be Pool Party. So let's pull the Pool Party in. Again, when you squeeze your ink and then you push your ink pad away, flip it around, lock it in place. Oh, but I'm going to pull it out again. You can see I do a lot of watercolor washing with these colors. It's really great for the sky. And again, I'm going to start darker and go lighter. There's many different ways to do watercolor wash. This is just the way I do it. And I just want to make it a little more wet. Okay. And that's my watercolor wash. Now I could tape the edges down so it doesn't curl. I'll just show you quickly what it looks like when I take a heat tool and just dry it quickly. You can set it aside and let it dry as well. There, it's starting to straighten out a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to stamp some clouds. Now, let's move our water and our aqua painter. And put our wax paper over here. Now this stamp set, I love all the different images in it. It's got these cute little cloud images. There's a larger image and a smaller image. They are clear mount, and sometimes I help them stick to my block. I just put a tiny bit of snail adhesive on the back. Don't necessarily recommend it, but that's just what I do. And then I'm going to pull in the Dapper Denim ink. And I'm going to create one cloud here. Then one here, and then we'll place one here. Then I'll do the same in Pool Party. I'll put one little baby cloud. This stamp set is so much fun. Really lets you be creative. I think that's pretty good. Maybe one off to the side. Okay, so now I will take this and just set it aside. And now I'm going to start working on the actual shadow box part. So I need to pull in my Whisper White cardstock. And again, it's 5.5 inches by 8 inches. And I'm pulling in my Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer. And I need to score it at 1/4 inch each side. Sorry, not 1/4 inch. 1 1/4 inch. And I'm flipping it around. And then we need to do the same on the second piece of Whisper White cardstock. So we're going to score it at 1 1/4 inch. Just like so. And then this is going to be my bottom. And then if I like, I can actually take this back piece and then glue in my shadow box background. So I'm just going to glue in my sky background image into the back of the shadow box. And you need strong adhesive. I would not use snail. You could maybe use tear and tape adhesive if you like, or fast fuse would work really well too. I'm using the liquid glue because sometimes I put things in Cricut, and by using the liquid glue it gives me a few minutes. I can shift it around before it's permanent, so that's why I'm doing that. Okay, so that's the back done. Now we're going to take the second piece of Whisper White cardstock, it's already scored, and we have to create a frame with it. So I am lining up this edge with 3/4 inch, which is this measurement here. I love it when there is a right hand measurement. And I am using my cutting blade, and I'm going to cut from 2 inches down to 6 inches. And then I'm going to flip it around and do the same thing. So line it up at 3/4 inch. Score from 2 inches down to 6 inches. And now this score line, can you guys see that? This score line, I'm lining this up at 3/4 inch now, which is right about here. And then I'm just joining it up. So it's actually, I'm going from 3/4 inch down to 4 3/4 inch, roughly. It looks like I was a little generous with this, and it should line up if I did everything right. And again, on this side, I'm taking this score line, lining it up at 3 1/4 inch. And then I will just join up the lines. Okay, now that gives me my frame. Move my paper trimmer out of the way for now. Sometimes if it doesn't quite come out, I'll just help it with my paper snips. Just a little helping hand. There we go. That creates my frame for the front of my shadow box. Now let's get working on the inside part. So there's a little bit of a trick with that too. Okay, so this is important. This is where your balloons are going to be. So we're basically using 3 framelit shapes, or thinlets, I guess. This is going to be one of the images. I want this to be in the center of my shadow box, so I want it in the center of my cardstock. These 2 are going to be off to the side. Okay, these ones here are framelets. So this one is going to be over here. And then this one is going to be off to left-hand side. Now, first of all, I found it easier if I just stamped them. So let's get out my Sweet Sugar Plum ink. This is going to be the large balloon. And I want to make sure I'm leaving it about 3/4 of an inch off the bottom of the cardstock, Whisper White cardstock. So I'll stamp this one about here. And then I'm going to take my mint macaroon, and then I'll do this smaller balloon image. And we're doing it again on the left-hand side this time. About sort of the same distance. And I just noticed I switched my cardstock. Normally you do this one on the big piece of paper, and then the little balloon on the little piece of paper, but it'll still work. This is just paper wastage. Okay, there's my balloon image. Okay, now I'm going to go in here and show you how to use the Big Shot. So I'm just going to move these away, set my dies over here, and I'm going to show you with this image first what you do. All 3 are done the same way. Now with this one, I'll bring my Big Shot in so you can see it. And this is why the cardstock is cut at 6 inches, because it has to fit along the width of the machine. So I'm using my magnetic platform. I'm putting on my precision base plate because this is a thinlet die, and I need to, I'll show you what I need to do right away here. I need to have this cardstock fit along my Big Shot. Okay, I'll put it right about here. And then I'm taking this one's pretty used, this plastic plate, and I put 1 plastic plate over top. Now this is very important. You can see what I'm doing? I'm not cutting all the way down. I'm just sliding this up a little bit higher than the bottom of the die. I don't want it cutting all the way through. And then I will roll it through like this. Okay. And then hopefully that cut through for me. It looks like it did. And then this one I'm going to do the same thing, only I'm taking the little small balloon die. And same thing. I'm not cutting all the way through, I'm just doing a partial die cut. So I'm leaving the bottom of the balloon not covered up, the bottom of the framelit. And then you have to slide it through. Okay, that's that one. And you can see how there's still, you can see how it's still attached to the cardstock. And then I'll do my last one. So I place that on the precision base plate as well. These ones don't have to be on the precision base plate, I just have it set up, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Okay, and then I put this here, and again, I'm not going all the way covering the whole framelit. I'm leaving the bottom uncovered with the top plastic cutting plate. Okay, there we go. We'll set this aside, and I'll show you what we're going to do with this. Okay, I'm going to pull out my paper snips. Now, if you like to be really precise, you can put this through your paper trimmer. I'm just going to use my paper snips. Could be a little crooked, however. But all my cards are made with love, and my friends never really mind if they're slightly crooked. Okay, and this is what you're left with. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing with this one. Actually, I'll start from this side so I see how far up I went. Okay, and then we'll come in on the other side, taking care that it's fairly straight. Okay, I should have probably used my paper trimmer, but that's okay. I'll cut this one down a bit. Okay, that's the second one, and then this is the third piece. Now this piece I'm going to show you something special that I do. I have made a little holder. I'm getting out my Big Shot die brush. I've got an empty stamp case. I put the foam inside. And then here's my die brush. And then as I just scrub the little pieces, usually most of them pop out. And then it also has a place for my little paper piercer. And I get rid of, well, get rid of all these little bitty bits. It acts as sort of a little trash can too, so that's a win-win. Keeps my stamping area a little cleaner. Okay, now that that's done, I'll put this away. Okay, this is the next thing I'll do. So I'll show you this time if you're using the paper trimmer. There's no actual measurement because it's really hard to know where you placed it. That's why okay, there we go. So the paper trimmer does work a little bit better. Okay, and this is the middle piece. Okay, now I'm going to attempt to show you how to put this together. I made this a long time ago, so we'll see if I can remember. Okay, so that goes like this. So here's your little tabs that we've got. And I'm just going to use it with liquid glue because it's going to go in like this. That's going to be the back one. This one will be off to the side. And then this one will go on top. So I'm going to add the adhesive here. Okay, so I'm going to use the liquid glue. We'll stack this one. You should take a look too at your frame part. I know it has to be 3/4 of an inch because I want my balloon to show. So I'm going to put one here. And let it dry. Tear tape will work good too. I just want to see if I need to move this. Okay, then we're going to put the second one. It's going to go here. These technically should be the same size, but I think it's still going to work. Okay, we'll let that dry for 1 second. And then this final one is going to go here. So again, I'm putting my liquid glue down. Give that a second to set. And then then I'll add my adhesive here and then just close it up. So the tear tape would really work well too. Okay, let's see if I did this right. Let's give it 1 second. And then I think while that's drying, I'm just going to set this on here to hold it. I'm going to show you quickly how to do your greeting. So your greeting, like I said, it's 7/8 of an inch. And I'm using the greeting that says, hope your day is on cloud 9, happy birthday. And I'm using Dapper Denim ink. Just going to stamp it in the middle. And because I want it to pop up a little bit, I'm going to grab my stamping trimmer again. And I want to score this right beside where I've stamped. So let's do that right about here. And then move this over. That would be a bit much. No, I think I'm going to do it to this line, which is 1/2 inch. And then I'll do the same thing on this one. So from here, and then I'll take this over wherever I scored it from and pull it to 1/2 inch. And then what this gives you is a nice little pop-up piece. And then all I did was take my paper snips, and I'll make a little pennant shape. So I'm going to snip in the middle. And then you go in from each side. And I'll do the same thing on this side. Let's check that this is about the same. I might need to smidge that, take that off just a little bit. You can tell I'm sort of eyeballing it. Okay, and that makes our fun greeting. So let's see if I can finish the card now. Oh, it did work. Okay, that is together. That's the inside of the card. So now this is going to be the outside piece. So again, I'm going to use a liquid glue just because I find it is very forgiving. I never put things on straight. I don't know about you, but sometimes I do, but not all the time. Okay, and then this is going to go like this. Then this one will go like this. See, when I use a liquid glue, I can move it. It's not stuck down. Now, if I did tear tape or fast fuse, I would have been in trouble. Okay, now you can see how I've got that little white gap. It's supposed to be the sky, so I didn't like that. That's why I went and made this little patch out at 5.5, 1 inch by 5.5 inch pool party cardstock. Now, ideally, I should have done that before I put this together, but that's okay. We'll just put it down now. And again, by using the liquid glue, I can move it if I have to. There we go, and that makes a nice patch. Wasn't that pretty? And then I added the greeting on with 2 glue dots. And that is basically it for the card. So I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope you will give one of these shadow boxes a try. You can do so many things with it. And I'll have more information on my blog at www.karinascreations.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.